Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you for sticking around. So as I said, these forms are special in that they, first of all, don't receive the N suffix, then tanween, which usually is added to indefinite nouns in Arabic, like the M in Akkadian, like the So the in Akkadian is un in Arabic. And the other way that they're special is that they only have two case endings, the nominative and the accusative is the one used for the genitive as well. I think it's nice. I wrote my MA thesis on this subject and I think it's cool. But if anyone thinks otherwise, that's also okay. So next up, I will give some examples from Ge'ez. No other language has, or at least that we know of, has such a rich system like Arabic, but they have similar systems. This whole phenomenon occurs mostly in South Semitic. So in Ge'ez, we have from the type 1, igar, legs, dabr adbar, mountain, hagar ahgur, city, and Batr Abdr, staff. So pretty much the same or very similar patterns to the ones found in Arabic. Igar is kind of like kilab, adbar is like awlad, ahgur is like ashhur, and abdir is also like ashhur, or I don't know. Okay. Or like anshita maybe. We don't have that many ones with the feminine suffix, the tamarbuta. Igr in Syrian Arabic too. I'm surprised. Yes, Ijr is common in Arabic, I think, in many dialects. I'm not sure which, but yeah, it's cognate with Ethio-Semitic. So Gabr Akbir, I think this means worker or something like that. Nagus, Nagas. Yeah, sorry about the wrong spelling of the word Nagus here. Kings, and Malak, Mala'ik, angels. This is, of course, cognate or maybe even the source word for Malak, Mala'ika in Arabic. And from the third type, I didn't find a lot. So Ankat, Anakit. This is the only one I found. And they're also not diptotic because, well, everything in Ge'ez is diptotic. There are only two case endings, the accusative and non-accusative, and these receive completely regular case inflection. Now in Jibali, we have Shakhr Shkhar, old man, I think. Atzar Itzor, evening, and Kahef, don't remember what that means. So this is pretty much the same patterns. Togor Tujir. Here we see the nice allophonic palatalization. Once again, in here, this is allophonic, but these words also, these sounds also have minimal pairs. This means merchant, Togor Tujir. And in Mehri, also nude, water bag, water skin. And from the second type, we have ishtet, sword, agor, ageret, hokum, hkomet, and Mehri, ruler. And from the third, we don't have a lot. For example, in Jibali, merkab, meribkab. So the wow turns into B in Jibali in some environments. So this should have been meraukab. Or Mehri, agrez, agores. Masmer, masaumer. Yeah. So Next up, we will talk about verbal stems. Is there, is anything clear? Is everything clear? Is anything unclear? Is there any question, something, discussion, proposal?
I would be interested to know how well the development of broken plurals is understood, because it's so weird.
It is not understood, I think, because, well, it is usually assumed to be something that existed in Proto-Semitic because there are these relics, these remnants in all kinds of languages. Like biblical Hebrew has just a few instances, like zchur for zcharim and aroer for ararim or something like that, but very, very rare. Also in Akkadian, I think Hunegard has a paper on this in the plurals for nouns such as awilu, which has like awilu or something like that with a circumfix. So he thinks that this comes from something like awila'u. And there might be, I don't know of any examples from Ugaritic or Aramaic, but probably maybe there's something. And also in Old South Arabian, I didn't mention this because we don't know about the vowels there, but there's a lot of broken plurals as well, and pretty much the same, or what seems to be the same patterns. So
just another question. Are the segolates in the plural ones in Hebrew considered also broken plurals without the Hebrew endings? So the whatever melech and mal.
Yeah. Just like I said before, when I talked about jalsa, jalasat, this is almost sound plurals. Like broken plurals do not have a plural suffix. So I do not consider melech to be broken plurals.
Because I remember some Hebrew grammar actually they try to convince people that it's a broken plural, and then that they basically pile upon the endings basically. Like
yeah,
what's that? Tavlin is a tavlinim is the perfect example. Then that you pile on basically kind of they claim it's kind of 3 times the plural.
Yeah. Sometimes that can happen, but I wouldn't consider this broken plurals because we don't have such a word alone, and I don't think even in Arabic we have any instances, or just maybe more than a few, of fa'al, which has a plural fa'al. So I don't think such a thing is, like, some people do refer to these as broken plurals, but I don't think that's a correct notion. But of course, it's
okay.
a matter of definition. Yeah. But yeah, the real broken plurals in Hebrew are definitely like zukhu. That's just dhukur in Arabic. It's the exact same pattern. So to sum up, broken plurals are believed to have been in existence in Proto-Semitic, but no one knows to what extent, because it probably was very rare. Maybe it was even a remnant of something older. It's true that these segolates are considered to be somehow related to this phenomenon, like a change in the stem from the singular to the plural is like, this could be something related to the beginning of this. And also there's the adding plurals in, I think, many like in general in Afro-Asiatic, but in signifying both plurality and pluractionality, like in verbs. So some people think this might be related, but I don't know, because a lot of the times you also add in the broken plurals. I don't know. No one really knows. Sorry. Anything else before we talk about verbal stems, which is a complicated subject? Yes, Lorenzo.
Yes, sorry, just referring to your last sentence about the or tamarbuta in Arabic for the plural. Is there any connection with the Latin for plurals?
Wow, I have no idea. Very interesting. I would not guess so, but I have no idea. No, but I did not mean tamarbuta, which is at. I meant just an adding of an a, like in jalsa jalasat, or like in kilab, or something like that, because an a that it signifies plural is, I think, something known from Afroasiatic, but I'm not sure. I think Sushard has a paper on this. Yeah, anything else? Anyone else? No. Okay, so we'll talk about verbal stems. What kind of verbal stems do you know? Which ones have you heard of? Okay, so this is an example from Akkadian. For example, dababu means to speak. So if we add like kind of like the nominal patterns that we saw that give like a more specific meaning. So verbal stems are kind of variations on the verb that create a new paradigm with a new inflection, and that means something close to the original, but slightly different maybe. So I don't know. So do bubu to grumble, should bubu to make someone talk. In Arabic, for example, alima to know, to find out, allama to teach. Okay? Hebrew, lamad to learn, limed to teach. So yeah, I hope that was clear. This is another photo from Moscati's book, which gives a nice overview of the D and L stems. So these are the most, maybe the most simple stems, the D and the L. The D is just when the second radical is lengthened or geminate of the root, and the L is when there is a long vowel between the first and the second radical. The L stems are more characteristic of South Semitic. They occur in Arabic and in Ethio-Semitic and possibly modern South Arabian. And all the other, and the D stem occurs, I think, everywhere in Semitic. So in Akkadian, we only have D, we don't have the L. In Ugaritic, we have no idea. Hebrew, we have the D. Aramaic, we have the D. Arabic, we have the D for active and passive. And Ethio-Semitic, this is the D. It's nice that in Ethio-Semitic, in general, the difference between, actually also in Akkadian, both in Akkadian and in Ethio-Semitic, the regular difference between the past and the future is, or the subjunctive in the future, is that in the future, the second radical is geminate. So in these verbs, it is always geminate. So there has to be a vocalic difference instead. So we have in Akkadian ukabbar, ukabbir, and in Ethiopic, it's yikibber and yikabber. Gez specifically, yeah. And then we have the L in Arabic, habara, Ethiopic kabara. This, of course, means to bury. I'm not sure it has any meaning in the D or L stems, but I don't know, maybe. But this is just to show the paradigm. We can see the most characteristic vocalic pattern for this stem is the u-a-e. We can see that in the participle and in the past in Akkadian. We don't really see it in Hebrew, but maybe. But in Arabic, we see it also in the future and the participle. Any question about that? Same thing about the L, by the way. The D and the L are pretty identical, except for one having a long vowel and the other having a geminate. Their vocalic patterns are exactly the same. The infinitive is different, though. Anything about this? Nothing. I'm not sure this is correct. I'm not sure Hebrew has a construct infinitive for pu'al, but maybe, I don't know. Okay. So I warned you that it's going to be messy. So if we look at the stems as just different types of stems, we have the G stems, which are the regular ones, the kal in Hebrew, the D stems, the L stems, which we just talked about. Then we have the shin stem or the causative stem or the H stem, the N stem or stems, R stems, which reduplicate the second radical. Like instead of, let me think of an example. So, for example, in Amharic, derrege is to do and derarege is to do together or something like that. So derarege with a reduplicated second radical. And then we have the R of the reduplicated third radical. Like so we can reduplicate either one. So each of these has the simplest form. In the G, it's the G, or the Arabic first form, fa'ala, Hebrew kal, Aramaic kal, Gez G, modern Semitic, what is referred to as type A, so sabr, yes, sabr, or something like that, and modern South Arabian G. But there are also derived stems from this basic stem. So we have the GT. So we add a T to the stem and we have a new stem. And the T usually means either passive or reciprocal or reflexive. So in Akkadian, we have the G and the GT. The GT is, if I'm not mistaken, just the passive form of the G. Yeah, okay. Passive, reflexive, reciprocal, yeah. Same thing in Arabic, we have the GT, that's the 8th form, ifta'ala, ibtaras, same thing. In Hebrew, we don't have this form. In Aramaic, we have itpe'el. So this is TG. I signified it differently because in here, the T comes after the first radical, both in Akkadian and in Arabic, ibtaras, ifta'al. In Aramaic, it's before the first radical, so itpe'el. Yes, also has this TG, tefa'le. Yes, Michael.
Okay. Why Hebrew hit file is not
Oh, we will talk about this in a second, but hitpael is the T reflexive of the D. So hitpael comes from pi'el. Hitpael has a dagesh in the ayn. Yeah. So there are a few verbs inflecting in the GT in the Hebrew Bible or TG, like hitpaked, hotpaked, but it does not really exist in modern Hebrew or any other kind of Hebrew. And in Gez, we have the TG, the tafa'la, and in modern Ethio-Semitic also the derrese, the fa'ale, and modern South Arabian, what we call the T1 stem. Akkadian also has this GTN, which is something weird that appears only in it and in Eblite, I think. Ibtanalgas, which means to do something over and over again, right? Iterative or something like that, but I don't think anything like this occurs in any other Semitic language. Okay, so the D stems are pretty much the same. So Akkadian has D and DT, the passive or reciprocal or reflexive of D, and DTN, the iterative of D. So uptaris, uparis, uptaris, uptanalmas, I don't know. And Arabic has also the D and the TD. Here, Akkadian and Arabic differ where they add the T. So Akkadian has it once again after the first radical, but Arabic has it before. So in Arabic, it's tafa'ala, and the D is fa'ala. In Hebrew, we have PL with a completely different set of vowels, and hitpa'el. In Aramaic, also pretty much the same, pa'el, itpa'al. In Ge'ez, we have the D and the TD, and we won't talk about the other ones yet. So fa'ala and tafa'ala. And in modern Ethio-Semitic, these are referred to as the type B. The reason these are referred to as type A and type B in modern Ethio-Semitic, I know it sounds stupid, but it's not that stupid. It's because in the past, like in the past tense, all of the Ethio-Semitic have a geminate today. Like the past tense of G has a geminate second radical as well. So sebbere is G, but the difference is in the future. The G does not have a geminate in the subjunctive and the D does. So that's why it's not referred to as really different stems, because they almost merged, but they're slightly different. And modern South Arabian. Okay, so modern South Arabian does not have gemination, nor does it retain long vowels in a way that we understand or be able to analyze. So there are all these stems. There is no actual D or L stem, though some people might say otherwise, but there is a TD or TL stem, or maybe two of them, like T2 and T3, but we just can't tell the difference. And also you can see here that, okay, so I can mention that in Ethio-Semitic and also in modern South Arabian, probably you can add the causative morpheme to the D as well, having stems like CD, afa'ala, and atfa'ala, or something like that, and which is pretty much what we have also in modern South Arabian. We think this is probably the CDL, CD or CL, but we can't tell the difference. But these are actually just called H2, H3, H4, H5. And the Shin 2 is just the CTD. Then we have the causatives. So in Akkadian, we have the Shin, Shin T. There are two Shin T stems in Akkadian, but they're pretty much almost the same. Reciprocal, reflexive, passive, like always, and the Shin T and the iterative. This in Arabic is expressed by the fourth form, the af'ala, and the Shin T is the 10th form, if istaf'ala. So we have the ista, just like the ushta. That's nice. In Hebrew, this is hif'il. In Aramaic af'il. And in Ge'ez, CG, CTG. So you can add the causative to the G also, and also have the istaf'ala or something like that. In modern Ethio-Semitic, they all have an afa'ala stem, but they have different kinds of istaf'ala stems. Sometimes they're atfa'ala, and sometimes one language has more than one. And it differs also with the verbal classes. It's weird, I don't know. And modern South Arabian, this is just the H1, the regular H, and the Shin 1, that's the Shin T. So also modern South Arabian retained the sibilant in the Shin T. It did not retain a T though, which is nice. It did retain a sibilant though. So, and the Shin 2 is probably the CTDL or something like that. I did not talk about the L's. So in Arabic, this is just the third form, fa'ala, and the sixth form, tafa'ala. It does not really occur in Hebrew, but there is po'el in some verbs, usually the geminate verbs. Aramaic does not have this. And in Ge'ez and modern Ethio-Semitic, of course, a very wide system. This is called type C in modern Ethio-Semitic. For example, barrek, like Arabic baraka. Okay. The end stem is a little bit, the other stems in general are simpler. The end stem is specifically a little bit leaner because it does not have such a rich paradigm of derived stems. It doesn't have any derived stems. So the end stem is inherently passive or reflexive. So there is no NT, for example, in Akkadian. There is no NT in Arabic. So just the end stem and the iterative N in Akkadian. In Arabic, it's the seventh form in fa'ala. In Hebrew, nif'al. Aramaic does not have the stem, which is very, very interesting. because Ge'ez, modern Ethio-Semitic and modern South Arabian, don't really have the stem, but kind of have remnants of it. Aramaic doesn't even have remnants of it. So like these Ethio-Semitic and modern South Arabian, they have verbs that have usually 4 or 5 radicals, and the first one is N, and they have a passive or reflexive meaning. So these are considered to be remnants of an N stem. But in Aramaic, nothing except in Dir Ala, which is weird. Then we have the R, the reduplicated C2. In Arabic, this is the 12th form, 12th weird form, if'aw ala, which I'm not sure anyone will ever encounter unless you read about things becoming green or something. And this has a rich paradigm only in modern Ethio-Semitic, not even in Ge'ez. So they have the whole shebang, fa'a'ile, tefa'a'ile, afa'a'ile, atfa'a'ile, or astafa'a'ile, or something. And the reduplicated third radical, which is very, very rare in Akkadian, but I think it does exist. Arabic has something similar to this when this radical is geminate in the 10th and 11th form, if'alla and if'alla, but it is also reduplicated in the 15th form, if'anlala. Hebrew has this only in weak verbs or hollow verbs, what we call the second glide verbs, polel. And all of the other languages don't really have it. Modern South Arabian probably has a few remnants of C1, C2, C3, C3 roots that look like they come from some kind of system like this. Never heard of the 12th form in Arabic. No one has. Have you heard of the 15th one? Or the 19th one? No, there are too many forms in Arabic. Yep. Any question about this extremely complicated table before I make it slightly more simple? No. Anything? Michael?
Please make it simple, please.
No, it's just slightly more simple. Like if we take out the sheen, like we saw that in modern South Arabian and in Ethio-Semitic, we can add the causative also to the D and to the other stems. If we think about it, we can also do that in Akkadian. So outside Central Semitic, like Akkadian has this rare sheen D stem. Outside Central Semitic, we can talk about the sheen as just another variation of the stems. But in Central Semitic, it's just a stem for its own. Very complicated, I know. I'm sorry. You don't have to remember or understand any of this. No one does. Okay. Wait. Oh, okay. So,
But sorry, the various languages share the same meanings for the stems.
pretty much the D is usually referred to as intensive or pluractional or something like that, but it can also be causative. The sheen is always causative. The N is reflexive or passive. The T is reflexive or passive or reciprocal. The R is usually also reciprocal. The L is also usually either reciprocal or something. In Arabic, I think it also means like to try something. I don't know, like qatala, I don't know. But yeah, pretty much the stems have the same meanings. But you also saw that most of the languages just downsized this huge stem table to much smaller paradigms that have like a more general meaning, maybe. Okay, so now we will talk about the G stem, which is in fact the most complicated of all the verbal stems in Semitic. Why is it so complicated? Does anyone want to guess? There's a hint as always. Yes, Michael.
Maybe because it's the oldest one and has a lot of time to have many mutations.
I guess that makes a lot of sense, and it's probably true. Yeah, probably is connected to what I'm going to talk about. Anyone else? Maybe the hint helps? No? So we always talk about a consonantal root But in the G stem, which is the most basic verbal inflection in Semitic, there are vowel classes or vowel groups. Why would we have this? This makes no sense. If there's a consonantal root, why would a consonantal root carry a vowel around with it? So in Akkadian, for example, we have ipus, iparas, purus, ikriv, ikarib, kirib, imkut, imakut, mukut, itzbat, itzabat, tzabat. I've added the stative at the end, but I don't think it's really part of the same system in Akkadian, but I don't know. So 4 vowel classes. Does everyone see them and understand why they are called vowel classes? They just use different vowels that are called thematic vowels, the theme vowels that are added between the second and third radical, both in the past and in the future. So usually they're the same vowel, like ikri, bikarib, imkut, imakut, itzbat, itzabat, but there's also a group, ipus, iparas, which has a different vowel. And then there's also ilmad, ilamad, which has limad as the imperative. And the first week verbs also have ushib, ushab, so ia. Weird. Why? Why so many? Why would we have these? In Arabic, it's slightly simpler, I think, but maybe not as much as I would want it to be. So in Arabic, we have these a'u verbs, which is funny because there's no iparas in Arabic, but still these are kind of a'u verbs. So darasa udrus, yadrusu, and this is the most common faintive verb. And then the e ones, yanzilu, inzil, nazala. The a ones, yashrabu, ishrab, which are accompanied usually by an e vowel in the past, which is nice. And the u vowels, which like the u that comes with an u in the past as well.
Yeah, mistake in the.
Sorry, where?
No, sorry.
Yeah, is everything clear? Okay. In Ge'ez, we have a simpler system, unfortunately, because a lot of the short vowels were lost. So we only have 2 vowel classes. This is the regular one, yingir, yenagir, nigir, nagara, to speak. And this is the EA one from Arabic, or the AE one, yigbar, yigabir, gibar, gabir. So we can see that there was an E here that was lost, should have been gabira. And we can also see that it has the same A vowel in the subjunctive as in Arabic, shariba, yashrab. Everything clear? Also in the imperative, gabar. Everything clear? Very, very complicated. Okay. So in Hebrew, we don't really have the EE group or the E group. Only in very, very rare verbs like natan, to give, yiten, ten. But the regular 2 groups that we have retained are yirkod, rakod, rakad, ilmad, lemad, lamad. So, but we also have remnants of this Ia group, like the Ishan Yashen, and the UU group or AU group in Hebrew, Iktan Katon. Once again, this is very, very complicated. So if anyone has a question, please do not hesitate. All these verbal classes are sometimes connected by scholars to different meanings or meaning groups, but I am usually not convinced by these connections. Some of them can be, but usually when you make a list of one vowel class, it has like, I don't know, 18 different meaning groups. It just I feel like it's completely, it kind of feels to me like the people trying to say, okay, this root has a resh, an R in the beginning, and this root has an R in the beginning, so they might have some connection. So it could be that these presents have some kind of meaning attached to them. Like usually these ones, the E ones, they are kind of passive or maybe stative verbs, like to sleep, for example. But sometimes it's too difficult to determine. Any question about this? Please, no? Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about Barth-Ginsburg's law. Has anyone heard of this or wants to say what it is? Okay, so it's a law that is supposed to determine the vowels in the vowels of the personal prefixes in the prefix conjugation. And it says that historically there should have been an A vowel where there's an U vowel after it or an E vowel after it, but an E vowel or an E vowel when there's an A after it. We don't see it in Hebrew in most forms, but we can see it in the first guttural verbs, for example. So yahzor as opposed to yehdal. So yaprus, ibras. Okay. In Arabic, but not classical Arabic, some dialects of Arabic, but I think many dialects of Arabic, we have such a distinction as well. So yadrub, udrub, darab, to hit, yishrab, ishrab, shirib, to drink. Does any one of the native Arabic speakers want to comment on this? Because I'm not sure.
The last one is shirib.
Shirib,
shirib.
yeah,
Shirib.
sorry, shirib. You're right, but this does exist, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, or yudrub, yeah, as opposed to yif'al, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting, but it does not exist in classical Arabic. Classical Arabic has only the yaf, the ya, or the ta prefix. And in Akkadian, as probably most of you know, the personal prefix does not have a regular vowel. Well, it does in the D and Shin, but usually it just is determined by the personal prefix itself. So there's taprus, but iprus. Was that clear? Is everything clear? Okay, in Ugaritic, we also have some remnants of the Barth-Ginsburg's law. For example, il-ak, I will send, ish'al, I will ask, and also in syllabic cuneiform, yaturu, he will return or something like that. Yabtsiru, he will cut, ashib, as opposed to ichrabu, he will enter or something like that. Okay, everything clear? This is from Troppel's book, of course. Okay. Now, if we talk about modern South Arabian, we can also see these nice vowel groups, but they're a little bit different. So, for example, we have in Sokotri, this is the subjunctive, yifred, yifored, the future, ferod, past. Yidkor, yedekor, dekor. So in Sokotri and also in Jibali, we have this very, very interesting opposition, not only in the vowels of the past and the subjunctive, but also in the vowels of the future, which we did not see in Ethiopic or Ethio-Semitic. We will have to take a forced break. Do you want to take a break for 5 minutes? Because it's really, really very difficult. Or yeah, anyone? No? We'll take a break. We'll be back in 5 minutes. See you then. Thanks.